But today, you wouldn't spot the Caucasian in my face unless someone tipped you off that it was there to be found. My American mother wouldn't have minded that. She had always wanted me to fit in Japan, and was glad that my father's Japanese features had prevailed in that initial genetic struggle for dominance. And the plastic surgery I had undergone when I returned to Japan after my fling with U.S. Special Forces in Vietnam largely completed the job that chance and nature had begun. The story my signals would tell the yakuza was simple. He'd only begun seeing me at his gym recently, but I was already obviously in shape. So I wasn't some middle-aged guy who'd decided to take up weightlifting to try and regain a lost college-era physique. The more likely explanation would be that I worked for a company that had transferred me to Tokyo, and if they had sprung for digs near Roppongi, maybe in Minami Aoyama or Azabu, I must be someone reasonably important and well compensated. That I was apparently into bodybuilding at all at this stage in my life probably meant affairs with young women for whom a youthful physique might ameliorate the unavoidable emotional consequences of sleeping with an older man in what at root would be little more than an exchange of sex and the illusion of immortality for Ferragamo handbags and the other implicit currencies of such arrangements, all of which the yakuza would understand and even respect. In fact, my recent appearance at the yakuza's gym had nothing to do with a company transfer. It was more like a business trip. After all, I was in Tokyo just to do a job. When the job was finished, I would leave. I'd done some things to generate animosity when I'd been living here, and the relevant parties might still be looking for me, even after I'd been away for a year, so a short stay was all I could sensibly afford. Tots had given me a dossier on the yakuza a month earlier, when he'd found me and persuaded me to take the job. From the contents, I would have concluded the target was just mob muscle, but I knew he must be more than that if Tots wanted him eliminated. I hadn't asked. I only wanted the particulars that would help me get close. The rest was irrelevant. The dossier had included the yakuza's mobile number. I had fed it to Harry, who, compulsive hacker that he was, had long since penetrated the cellular network control centers of Japan's 3 telco providers. Harry's computers were monitoring the movements of the yakuza's mobile phone within the network. Anytime the phone got picked up by the tower covering the area around the yakuza's health club, Harry paged me. Tonight, the page had come at just after 8 o'clock, while I was reading in my room at the new Otani Hotel in Akasaka Mitsuke. The club closed at 8, I knew, so if the yakuza was working out there after hours, there was a good possibility he'd be alone, what I'd been waiting for. My workout gear was already in a bag, and I was out the door within minutes. I caught a cab a slight distance from the hotel, not wanting a doorman to hear or remember where I might be going, and 5 minutes later I exited at the corner of Roppongi-dori and Gaien Higashi-dori in Roppongi. I hated to use such a direct route because doing so limited my opportunities to ensure I wasn't being followed, but I had only a little time to pull this off the way I'd planned and decided it was worth the risk. I had been watching the yakuza for over a month now and knew his routines. I'd learned that he liked to vary the times of his workouts, sometimes arriving at the gym early in the morning, sometimes at night. Probably he assumed the resulting unpredictability would make him hard to get to. He was half right. Unpredictability is the key to being a hard target, but the concept applies to both time and place. Half measures like this guy's will protect you from some of the people some of the time, but they won't save you for long from someone like me. Strange how people can take adequate, even strong security measures in some respects, while leaving themselves vulnerable in others, like double locking the front door and leaving the windows wide open. Sometimes the phenomenon is caused by fear. Fear not so much of the requirements, but rather of the consequences of life as a hard target. Seriously protecting yourself calls for the annihilation of ties with society, ties that most people need the way they need oxygen. You give up friends, family, romance. You walk through the world like a ghost, detached from the living around you. If you were to die in, say, a bus accident, you'd wind up buried in an obscure municipal graveyard, just another John Doe. No flowers, no mourners, hell, no mourning. It's natural, probably even desirable, to be afraid of all this. Other times there's a form of denial at work. Circuitous routes, extensive security checks, and ongoing internal dialogue.